Zhao took a serious look at this undead. He really didn't know how this thing was formed. Although there were many legends of zombies in his past life, they were still just legends. This was real. This crocodile skeleton was blatantly crawling around the hall. It looked like a real crocodile composed entirely of bones, with a tail whipping around, leaving scars on the walls. The thing that Zhao most noted was that the two eyes of the skeleton were just flashing green flames. He also calculated that the crocodile was 15 meters long and about 3 meters high. With its claws outstretched, it would have a width that reached 5 meters. If it wasn't for the fact that their castle's gate was large enough, this creature wouldn't have been able to get in because it was simply impossible for it to climb the defensive wall. Switching the screen back to the three-dimensional map, Zhao could see the main parts of the castle. Except for the few spirit beasts in the square, there was the big crocodile, and the rat skeleton that was upstairs. Zhao again switched the screen back to the living room and watched the crocodile skeleton. Grandpa Green, how strong do you think this thing is? This isn't a high-level spirit beast. It's only a shallow water crocodile, so its fighting strength shouldn't be that strong, only around the 4th level. But now that it's an undead, it won't be afraid of death and it will not die so easily. Plus, its bones are poisonous. Even if it's not that strong, we should still be careful, Green said. Zhao nodded. Grandma Marin, see if you can catch this thing and bring it into the space. I want to carefully look at it. That's simple. I can do that, Marin said as she stood up and walked out of the hut. Everyone followed her to the empty area behind the hut, then Marin turned to Zhao. Master, open a hole. With a thought, a hole in space appeared. Marin softly chanted a spell, and a blue watery light immediately flew into the hole. This band of light was like a huge rope, catching the crocodile skeleton and forcing it into the space. Zhao looked at the creature that was twisting around on the ground. The blue light had completely shackled the crocodile skeleton. It couldn't attack with its claws, tail, and mouth because it had been tied down. Since he had a closer look of this undead than just seeing it on the screen, he could clearly see that there wasn't a trace of flesh on the green bones, which somehow gave it a strange beauty. Just then, the voice echoed discovery of unknown object. Scanning. Scan complete. The robotic object is aggressively toxic. Extracting toxins. Strengthening the toxic compounds in the space the object is too manic. Does not meet space requirements. Re-implantation procedure initiated. The implantation procedure is successful because the toxins might affect the humans in the space. A strong immunity is needed. Spatial water is given detoxification effects. Please consume spatial water as soon as possible. Everyone was listening to the voice, although they couldn't understand what it said about robotic objects, or extracting toxic compounds, and a bunch of other stuff. This was the first time they had heard of such things, and they simply didn't understand what it meant. Zhao probably understood. But only probably. There were some things that he didn't quite understand as well. He only knew that the space categorized this undead as a robot, which wasn't exactly wrong. First, it was a skeleton with no flesh and blood. It had no heart and it wasn't breathing, so it couldn't be regarded as a living thing. Second, its actions were controlled by some kind of soul fire, which was like a robot that was controlled by a smart chip. So the space classified this undead as a robot. All of this was a surprise to Zhao because he didn't expect that the space would have such capabilities. It knew that the toxins would have an adverse impact on everyone here, so it extracted the toxins and formulated some sort of detoxification effect on the spatial water. As long as they drank the spatial water, they didn't need to be afraid of the toxins. The part that Zhao didn't understand was when the space mentioned the re-implantation procedure, as well as the strengthening of toxic compounds. What did that mean? Did the space have toxic compounds? Zhao then realized that the skeleton had stopped struggling. It was just lying there very quietly, and the green fire in its eyes had become red. Looking at the color of the soul fire, he understood what the ray implantation procedure meant. The ray implantation procedure changed the soul fire of this undead, making it an ally. He clearly remembered that the green dot on the screen indicated an enemy, and the red dot showed that it was a friend. But it still had to be verified, so Zhao decided to try it out. "Grandma Marin, please release this thing. The space might have changed it into an ally." Marin was surprised, but before she lifted her magic, everyone surrounded Zhao. This single undead couldn't handle their group, so it was impossible for it to pose a threat. Marin released her magic. The crocodile skeleton ran towards Zhao, but the impression it gave wasn't scary, almost like a spoiled dog. "Stop!" Zhao quickly said. He was afraid for it to get too close to him since he still hasn't drank the detoxifying water. If it touched him, he would be poisoned. Also, he wanted to see if he could command this creature. Green was nervously looking at the skeleton, ready to attack it, but his fears were redundant because once Zhao gave the order, the creature immediately stopped. Although it still looked scary, people felt that it was a little pathetic. Zhao didn't expect that such an evil-looking undead could make people feel that way. Marin suddenly said, "It seems to be an undead spirit variation, Master. This time we really picked up a treasure." Zhao was puzzled. "What is an undead spirit variation, Grandma Marin?" Undead spirit variations are special. As an undead, the longer it can still move around, it will become more and more powerful. Not only will they gain a spiritual attack, they will also slowly regain the abilities they had when they were alive. This shallow water crocodile had a poison attribute. Normally, when it became an undead, it would just be an ordinary crocodile skeleton, but now it has poisonous abilities. So it could now hold dual attributes of the poison attribute and the spirit attribute. That is what we see now. In fact, when we felt it change, that was a spiritual attack. Zhao nodded, trying to understand. So would that mean if a humanoid undead doesn't die, it will slowly regain its original skill? Marin nodded, her face solemn. "Yes, Master. It is said that if a mage becomes an undead, he would slowly regain the same abilities from his life. A lot of people think that as long as one is an undead, they would only have attributes of a dark nature. But they are wrong. There are undead with various attributes on the continent." Zhao looked at the crocodile skeleton. He really didn't think that he would actually find such a treasure. Spiritual attacks are the continent's most dreaded attacks. It would be difficult to guard against, even for a mage. He didn't know that this thing could really attack the spirit, which was really a surprise.